My name is Bruce Sauer. I'm chair of the film department here, but let's not waste any more time. Please welcome back to the stage the director and writer of the film and the actor, Bruce Dern and Alexander Payne. I think they like you guys.
And excellent projection here. The quality of the image and the sound were excellent.
So Alexander, your first film was with Laura. Your latest film was with Bruce. Is the next one with the grandkids? What's going on?
Yeah, so far in my career, the Derns have been my alpha and my omega.
I saw you guys when you hadn't seen each other in a while, and I saw you guys greet each other last night at the restaurant, and the affection was genuine. Can you talk a little about the working relationship that the two of you had during the film?
You know, when you get the script, it's either there or it's not. So when I got it, it was all there. And the man gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to be in a film where he's giving you great teammates, and you're a team and you're making a movie. And so anytime I see him, I get emotional. I want to let him know that, because it took me 55 years to get here. It took us 10 years to get the movie made. And I have to be genuine every time I look at him. He's the best.
I think one of the things that struck me about the film is the lack of sentimentality, really, in the performance, and you guys could have fallen into the trap of it being adorable, but you didn't go there. How did you guys avoid that?
We just didn't do it.
This is what it's been like all day long. No, but it really was terrific. And the question, of course, that everybody asks is why black and white? And we had that discussion earlier. Now, having seen the film, I do understand why it had to be black and white. I think color would not have worked as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
My mom saw it in New York and she said, "Now I see why it had to be in black and white. Color would have been stupid." I told her I'm going to use that line.
Getting a lot of mileage out of it. That's great. There are a lot of now. You use a lot of local actors as well as professionals that were brought in. So, can you talk about some of how you get the performances of the local actors and how they met?
And this one, to a very strong degree, I've combined seasoned professionals with non-professional actors, say community theater, local actors, and then with non-actors, that is to say people right off the street or off the farm in this case. And in order, the casting director, John Jackson, who's also from the Omaha area, we worked together on all my films, and we really developed a working method which, well, we know we need professionals for the lead parts, but to paint this world accurately, you can't do it with actors trucked in. You have to have local faces and local accents. So that means finding people who've never acted before. And it just takes time. So for about a year, we put out casting calls in rural newspapers and on rural radio, like after the farm report. And often, for example, for the retired farmers, we were targeted, like the Westendorfs, for example, or some of the guys who played Woody's brothers. We targeted not those retired farmers, but rather their kids. You know, their kids who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who might see, oh, mom and dad would enjoy doing that, and then next time they're at the house, tape them with their flip camera or an iPhone or something, and then email us the auditions. So slowly but surely, those started to trickle in, and And we sifted through them and then called a few people in, and that's how we found it, little by little by little.
Incredible. Now, Bruce, when you watch and you set through the movie, obviously many, many times,
Me too.
do you
Love it.
how critical are you of your own performance when once it's done and there's nothing you can really do about it after the fact?
Myself, I'm as tough as it gets. You know, when you start out for 20 years being the fifth cowboy from the right, you get pretty critical when you have more than 4 lines. And so I've been critical all the time, you know, and I was lucky enough to, if you have to rate directors, I would put Alexander not one notch below Mr. Hitchcock and Mr. Kazan. That's how good he is. And when I started there, you know, their whole thing was just, you know, when you go to California, and we allow you to go to California, you know, be real. He's all about simple truth. Just don't act. And the wonderful thing about the people around us was, they don't act. They're just themselves. I mean, the look on the couple that walks over to the car, they weren't professionals, were they?
Which couple?
Yeah, at the end when they're in the barn.
Oh, yes, the Freudenbergs. Yes. They play the Westendorfs, but in real life they're the Freudenbergs.
The other thing is, because of all these faces that you see, he went around for 8 months, and John Jackson also, the two of them, just to find faces. And we didn't go to a lot of those bars, and in different states, because of the buildings. We went for the faces, and they had those specific faces be there on such and such a day in December where we're going to shoot here. So that's why they were there. And when I walk into the first bar, I mean, you can't beat those faces.
It's incredible. Your physicality in the film, I mean, the way you walked, it was just incredible. How did you guys work together on coming up with what that was going to look like?
No, he knows I'm a runner. He knows I've had every injury there is, and I wasn't faking. It was hard to get out of the car. I can limp across the stage for you. I'm trying to not limp anymore. I don't, but it's no. The wonderful thing about him is he hires you, and I think he'll tell you about 80% of his job is in the cast, and so you know you're the part. And then it's exciting every day to go to work because he allows you the space to create the rest of the stuff in the character without talking it over for hour or over rehearsing. And that's what's magical, because he wants to risk, you're risking, and the excitement to go to work every single day, I mean every day, is because the son of a bitch may do something nobody's ever done before.
Right.
And that's what's exciting.
We've had the great pleasure of having both Bruce and Alexander in master classes today. And it's interesting, you both struck the same chord talking about honesty. You in the writing and the directing, and you in the acting. Can you talk a little bit about weeding some of that out so you just don't get those false moments on the film that drive us all crazy?
How?
Yeah.
I just do it. You know what? It's really hard to question. It's always very difficult. It's not impossible, really, to answer questions of how to do something. Everyone works differently. I just know that when I say action, I'm right by camera, and I've trained myself that right after I say action, I mentally wish away the camera and all the lights and the technicians, and I pretend I'm just there invisibly watching what's going on, and I just think, do I believe it? I'm at once, you know, the director's job is just really to watch the movie, and then if it doesn't feel like a movie, to say, okay, stop, a little bit more like this, a little bit more like this, and make it more believable, and just like that. It's just your taste.
Are we going to be doing questions from the audience? Is that part of the thing tonight?
Come on, raise a hand. Be somebody.
If you have questions, please.
We have one right down front here.
Oh.
All right, so saw this wrong. Wait 1 second for the microphone, sir. Maybe I saw this wrong and then it won't work at all, but it seemed like in the cemetery scene there was a grave with your last name on it, which made me think that it was probably connected somehow. And I wondered about any of the settings and scenes, that sort of thing.
He spotted a grave marker that reads Payne. That was completely coincidental.
You do use similar names, and there was the name Tolf on one of the graves. That's there's an Omaha connection there, isn't there?
And the Navy and the vehicle.
Right. Yeah, Tolf Hansen there's a whole story behind Tolf Hansen. Tolf is the Swedish word for 12, and he was the 12th son. That's a sidebar. That's a whole thing. But yes, I try to get Tolf Hansen's name in the film. Another question?
Throughout the film, kind of stemming off that, there was text everywhere.
Where are you?
Hi.
Oh, there you are.
Not just road signs or storefronts, but even, plates on the shelf or like puzzle boxes. It was just constantly everywhere. I wonder just kind of the decision to, put that into the film.
To put interesting text?
Well, it just seemed like throughout there was constantly, there was something to read, there was something there, there was even little things here and there, or a milk carton, or a puzzle box. There were just words throughout the film.
All I can say is there's one scene toward the end where the boy is driving the father to Lincoln. The father's been passed out. The boy thinks, well, maybe a beer will perk him up, and is running from the gas station, opens it, hands it to the father. In the back, there's a sign which reads, "Leeches and Crawlers," which I actually thought about would have been a good title for the film. And then it says, "Fresh eggs," and eggs is spelled GSS. That's an actual sign I had seen about 60 miles away from that location. And we were going to shoot that one scene, and I didn't go get that sign and bring it there. I think a lot about signs and signage. And, we're surrounded by signs.
Good question here in the back.
Hi, when you
Where are
came
you?
up, hi, I'm right here.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm Jan. When you decided on this story, was it a personal story? In the 10 years developing it, was you writing and deciding you wanted to do this particular story because of something that was connected to you? Because I always find it so fascinating how a film actually gets made that has such stunning, real people and characters in it, but may not, go out there and be seen by 1 million people. And yet, I don't know do you have resources now because you're Alexander Payne, or is this something that you have to take every step of the way still because it's this personal story of yours? When you say 10 years.
Okay. Let's
Sorry,
take
that's
that
a lot.
chunks.
I think this is an essay question.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay. Briefly, thanks for the question. I didn't write it. So this is the first, which is not to say it's not a personal film, but I didn't originate the screenplay. I did some rewriting on it to insert some things which I felt like to direct, which I thought would maybe make it more personal to me. The writer, first thing I've directed that I didn't originate, that I haven't written. The writer is from Washington State, but his parents were from small town Nebraska. And this film is based on his memories of visiting that town as a boy. They used to spend their summers there. Can you imagine? And, look, the screenplay reached me 9 years ago because of its title. I'm the go-to Nebraska guy. But beyond that, obviously, I like the story very much. I like its sentiment, its feeling, its humor, and its austerity. And I just thought it would make a nice little movie. And in the intervening years, I didn't want to, I was given this when I was finishing Sideways, and that was 2 guys in a car, and I didn't want to do 2 guys in a car right away. I wanted to make at least one intervening film. I can't say in the meantime, my own parents aged. I'm 52, and my folks are getting on in years, so I think maybe some details grew over time more personal to me. And of course, the economy hit the skids, so that mood found its way into the film as well. And how do I get the film made? The hardest part about getting this one made, by the way, I hope at least 1 million people see it. The hard part obviously was convincing them to let me do it in black and white. And that took no small amount of dealing, and it even required my walking away from the picture when they were sort of wanting to force my hand to add chroma. But I thought, nah, we'll do it some other time. It had to be in black and white.
Well, I got to tell you, we've been talking, and the fact that we feel this is a great year for film, and we're going to be seeing some terrific films between now and the end of the year when all that award jump happens, which is necessary, I guess. But I have to say that between your performance and the screenplay and the direction of this film, this is like the cream of the crop. This is right at the top. And we just Thanks for being a great audience.